What's happening, everyone? I'm Jordan, and this is Front Run Tech. And in this video, I really just want to take a good look at Bitcoin and really look at the macro view, longer term view of Bitcoin, look at the cycles, 4-year cycle theory, and what overall structure the Bitcoin market looks to be in. All right, because we do have some pretty big developments here. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start here on the Bitcoin daily chart. This is the log daily chart, and I just want to go over a few things here. So I have, well, let's start with this. So I have maintained the view, and if you've been watching, keeping up with me on X and stuff like that, that I have held the view that the 4-year cycle was not going to continue and that it was breaking. I've held that view for quite a while, and I've held on to that view even as this quote unquote bear market has taken place. Now, I have lowered the probabilities, I have lowered the conviction in that a little bit as this huge drawdown and bear market has happened, right? But even near the lows, I was still maintaining that I thought it was a higher probability that the 4-year cycle was over than it continuing to play out. Now, there has been tons of 4-year cycle people online that have been victory lapping the 4-year cycle continuing for the starting months ago. And the odd thing about that is that that victory has not occurred yet. It's actually nowhere near occurring yet, because you have to remember, for the 4-year cycle, a prediction that the 4-year cycle is continuing, for that to play out, you essentially would have to have no new all-time high until around the next halving. All right, it can come a little bit before the next halving, but to really be a continuation of the 4-year cycle, it has to be no new all-time high until somewhere around the next halving. Even if we want to be generous and say at least the halving year, okay, which would be 2028. So that would be no new all-time high till 2028. So the fact that the 4-year cycle prediction people, a lot of them have been victory lapping this already, is kind of strange to me. But anyways, um, so here's what we're looking at now. Bitcoin has just now recently broken out from the main downtrend trend line, which is the trend line you take from the all-time high, coming off the pivot high, right, off of the bear flag, and that is your simple bear market trend line, okay? And Bitcoin has now broken out pretty aggressively from that. Now, if you want to go back and look at what type of indicator this is, we can look at the times that this has happened recently. It happened on this big drawdown from the beginning of 2025. When that breakout occurred here, it was the sign that the low was in. If we want to look at that kind of mid-cycle accumulation phase, same type of thing. You can see once that breakout occurred, that meant that the low was in and it was time to move back up. But even more importantly, if we come back to the previous bear market, the bear cycle, right, which was 2022, and this is also the fractal that has been used a lot with the current bear market, because the structure of the downward move has been very similar to this bear cycle, right? And even the same thing, when that breakout occurred in January of 2023, that did signal the end of that bear market. Even though you can see here, we got two major retests of the breakout, with the second retest was brutal. People were very scared here and not believing in this breakout. But if we zoom in, you can see the retest held perfectly, and that was the sign of the end of the bear market. All right. So, you know, people are kind of acting like some people, especially the 4-year cycle people, are kind of acting like this breakout is maybe not that big of a deal. Um, I think it's a very big deal. Now, the invalidation, of course, is going to be if Bitcoin falls back below the trend line, then that breakout is invalidated. Or if it kind of, goes sideways for a while and it doesn't fall below the trend line, but ends up taking out the low before the next taking out the high, then of course that also invalidates it. All right. But I think this is a major breakout here. And another thing, if I zoom out here a little bit, is that I had been talking about for a while this chart, even when we were near the lows, and the fact that this really looked like more of a macro breakout and then a retest of the previous highs, and that if anything, this almost could look like a major bull market, a longer term bull market breakout if this horizontal level of the previous highs held on the retest. Okay. And, some 4-year cycle people may say, well, oh, it retesting the previous cycle highs, that there's nothing that's necessarily a breakout about that. That's kind of what you would expect in the bear market. But the major difference to that is that we did not get any real serious price appreciation. Okay. Price did not go 3, 4, 5x higher than the previous cycle highs. It didn't even go 2x. It didn't even appreciate 100% past the previous cycle highs. And so we also didn't get some 75, 80% drawdown in the bear market to reach those previous highs. So the structure of the move above the previous highs and now back down to the previous highs has not looked like previous cycles. Okay. And that's also can be seen by the fact that, Bitcoin is what? An 80, 70, 80% move from getting back to the all-time high. Whereas usually in the bear markets, if it comes down this much, it's usually sitting at, like last time, if we look at the last cycle right here, 22K, that was sitting at almost a 3.5x just to get back to the all-time high. Very different case now. Okay. And the breakout of the downtrend trend line has also happened much quicker time-wise than it happened in the last cycle. So many things are different, and this just reaffirms my belief that I think the 4-year cycles are over, and I think that this breakout could lead to a much higher move, taking out all-time highs, and I think that could easily happen well before 2028. All right, so that's what we're currently looking at now. Is this time different? I continue to think that it is, but time will tell, of course. All right. If we go ahead and take a look at the weekly chart of Bitcoin to look at some other things here, you can see on the weekly chart, this currently looks like an absolutely beautiful W pattern. I mean, picture perfect, basically. So that is a promising bottoming pattern here on the weekly chart. And another thing is if I go ahead and I want to throw on the bull market support band because we are technically coming up to it. So this is an interesting thing to watch out for. But I think another indication that the cycles were really changing for me was the fact that during this bull market, the bull market support band has really not meant much of anything. You can see all this chop, losing it, getting it back, this just complete chop of the bull market support band right here, another part losing it, getting it back. So it really just has not held the significance that it has held in previous cycles. Another potential indication that the 4-year cycle is changing and Bitcoin is now moving off different macro type cycles. All right. So I still believe in hindsight that this move that we've experienced down could end up not even being viewed as a bear market in hindsight, because if this breakout occurs and we get back to all-time highs sometime in 2026, then again, I don't think this will even be called a real bear market. I think it'll be called a mid-bull market breakout correction or a mini bear market, right? But we're just going to have to see how that plays out, right? So these are the main things that I kind of wanted to go over in this video. Specifically, the most important thing we talked about and covered, which was the downtrend breakout on the daily from all-time high trend line. Very important, and it is in effect right now. So let's just hope that this breakout holds, and let's see if this time really is different for Bitcoin. All right. So we'll go ahead and end the video there, and make sure you guys are following me on the socials over there on X. Post a lot every day, real-time updates with my portfolios, my stock portfolio, Bitcoin thoughts, everything. Also Instagram, Nostr, all the links for the socials. You can find them in the description of this video. And thank you guys. See you next time.